I wake up in the peach-pink dawn of Seoul, my silk sleep mask still carrying the ghost of last night's lavender mist, and the first thing I feel is the hollow click inside my nose where bone should sit straight but docent tea. It clicks when I breathe, like a tiny plastic toy breaking in slow motion. I am 23, daughter of a Vilnius diplomat, raised on opera tickets and the smell of Grandmama's rose conserve, and I flew here chasing the softest, most whispered promise. Grand plastic surgery, Seoul, where faces become poems. Instead, my reflection is a crumpled draft, the kind you burn before anyone reads it. Let me tell you, traveler, why this matters to your tender, living heart. When a surgeon somyon, you literally hand your unconscious body toadsides your cartilage is mere practice clay. The betrayal is not cosmetic, it is cosmic. Imagine lending your childhood diary to a stranger and getting it back with every page torn out and replaced by grocery lists. That is what Gran did to the story my parents wrote on my face. They deleted the bridge, tilted the septum, and left me sounding like a broken flute every time air tries to pass. Breathing, the most boring miracle of being alive, now requires conscious effort, like I am a fish learning yoga. The morning after surgery, I wake in a recovery room that smells of instant ramen broth and bleach. The nurse, sweet thing, probably younger than my little brother, offers me a paper cup of lukewarm barley tea. The tea tastes of cardboard and regret. The cup rim is cracked, a micro cut that kisses my lip the same way the scalpel kissed my nose. Without consent, I ask her, voice tiny as a dormouse, when will the doctor visit? She blinks twice, startles, scurries out. Spoiler, he never comes, not that day, not the next. In the brochure they promise white glove after care. In reality, you get white knuckle silence. Days stretch like taffy, my texts to the clinic hover on read. Imagine shouting into a well and the well screenshots you for clout. That is grand as customer service. But let us zoom in microscope close, because you deserve the forensic tea. The consultant who first greeted me wore a blazer the color of hospital mint, the shade chosen by committees to calm the anxious. Her smile was Disney bright, but her pupils so were cash register black. She spoke perfect English, lilting like a lullaby, while sliding a contract toward me that might as well have been written in ancient Sumerian for how little I understood the medical jargon. Standard clause, she cooed when I hesitated at the part about possible revision fees. Standard clause, 2 words that when married mean, we can botch you, then bill you again for the privilege of fixing our botch. Red flag, darling. Red as the arterial spray they never show you in the Instagram stories. Surgery day, the corridor smells of ozone and fear sweat. I am given a gown that ties at the back with one lonely string, the fashion equivalent of a shrug emoji. The anesthesiologist, different man from the one who consulted, introduces himself mid-yawn. Yawns are contagious, panic is too. I try to joke, please make sure I wake up prettier, not just poorer, but my voice cracks like old wax. He pats my arm with the enthusiasm of someone patting a parking meter. Count backwards from 10, they say. I reach 7 and the world folds into black velvet. I should have stayed there. Unconsciousness is honest. It doesn't charge extra. Instead, I resurface 6 hours later, 6, not the promised one, throat raw from tubing, chest splattered with iodine that looks like rust, like IV already been excavated from a ruin. My breast size, I paid for those 2 because package deals are the siren song of the insecure 2 different zip codes. Left 185 cc, right 225 cc. Imagine ordering twin chocolate soufflés and receiving 1 deflated pancake and 1 overproofed balloon. The surgeon later,
I am looking into crimes near Grand Plastic Surgery, Seoul, and trying to tell you what I found. You know. Businesses near Grand Plastic Surgery, Seoul, are often polished boutiques that promise quick deals and shiny discounts, which can be a trap for visitors staying just a couple of weeks. One of those places was a women's clothing shop inside a big department store in Gangnam, right close to Grand Plastic Surgery. The manager there ran a card fraud scheme, stealing customers' credit cards and even fellow staff cards to make fake purchases. She said she would return the money, but vanished after taking more than $500,000. I think the victims probably filed police reports, felt embarrassed, and maybe stopped using their cards for a while. And the store likely faced a deep audit. The The manager was probably arrested or is still hiding, and the shop will probably lose a lot of trust, making tourists think twice before buying there. Another common spot is the Hanyang Hwaro Steakhouse chain that has several branches near Grand Plastic Surgery. The owners used celebrity ads to lure investors, promising huge monthly returns. Tourists who wanted a side investment ended up losing tens of thousands of won. After the news broke, the investors likely tried to get their money back through the courts, felt very stressed during their short stay, and maybe cut their trip short. The owners were taken by police, so the restaurants will probably have a lot of empty tables and a bad reputation for a while. Lastly, there is a high-end boutique in Cheongdam District, also a short walk from Grand Plastic Surgery. The owner collected advance payments for luxury goods at discount prices, then disappeared with about $7 million. The customers, many of them tourists, probably complained to the police, felt cheated, and might have left Seoul early to avoid more loss. The boutique is likely closed now, and the owner is probably being chased by authorities, leaving a warning sign for anyone seeing a sale sign that looks too good to be true. It really makes you wonder why so many shiny shops hide such dark tricks. Doesn't it? You race smarter than those scammers. I know that.
Let's talk about the businesses that sit in the shadow of Grand Plastic Surgery in Seoul, and what a traveler might expect when wandering down those streets. My feeling is that most places around this clinic share a common thread. They promise more than they deliver. They are crowded or confusing, and the service often leaves a sour taste. I have walked these sidewalks, read the complaints, and I can see the pattern emerging like a blurry photograph that slowly comes into focus. First, the whole shopping complex feels like a maze that swallows you whole. It is crowded, noisy, and the signs seem to have been written in a hurry. Visitors describe the experience as chaotic and overwhelming, as if the mall were a giant aquarium where everybody is trying to take a picture at the same time. The layout feels cramped, the air stale, and finding an exit becomes an adventure you never signed up for. Even the parking levels are a maze, taking far too long to locate a car. In short, the mall feels more like a test of patience than a pleasant stroll. Within that maze, there are a few stores that stand out for the wrong reasons. One shop in particular sells items with unclear pricing, making the checkout feel like a bazaar where bargains turn into hidden fees. Customers mention that the staff seem detached, unable to point you toward the manager, leaving you feeling stranded among shelves that look more like a market stall than a polished brand outlet. Now let us move to the world of relaxation and beauty. The spa near the clinic carries a reputation for unfriendly staff and a lack of English communication. Travelers who expected a world-class facial or hair treatment often end up with a rushed routine that feels more like a quick wash than a luxury experience. One visitor paid a high price for a 70-minute session only to be handed a basic mask, and then asked to dry their own hair while the staff hurried away for the next client. The service feels indifferent, and the language barrier makes the whole process feel like a guessing game with a translator. The same feeling of disappointment spreads to the dining options nearby. The Indian restaurant, for example, tries to serve a vibrant cuisine but often falls flat. Dishes that should spark heat end up sweet, and the chicken is described as dry as a bone. Service can be brusque, with waitstaff acting as if the guests were intruding on a private party. The ambience may be charming, but the food often fails to meet expectations, leaving diners wondering why they chose this spot over other more authentic eateries. A coffee shop that looks perfect for a quick break shows a very different side when you step inside. The staff are described as rude and the ordering system confusing, making a simple cup of tea feel like solving a puzzle. The cafe forces customers to buy a drink with every pastry, and the cakes themselves are often dry or overly sweet. Even the bathroom experience can turn uncomfortable, with staff knocking aggressively on the door and turning off the lights while someone is inside. The whole vibe feels more like a transactional checkpoint than a cozy place to relax. Nightlife in the area presents another set of challenges. The club that many think is a top destination appears to be a gatekeeper of exclusion. Reviewers repeatedly tell stories of being turned away because of image or dress code that seems to shift depending on who is at the door. The bouncers appear to make decisions based on skin color, accent, or body shape, and the staff offer no clear explanation. Even when a reservation is confirmed, it can be dismissed with a wave of the hand, leaving guests stranded outside, while locals walk in without a second thought. The overall feeling is that the club is more about who you are than the music you want to hear. A small market that once promised fresh finds simply closed its doors, leaving a vacant space where shoppers hope to discover something unique.
The space now feels like an empty shell, a reminder that not every venture in this neighborhood thrives. Finally, the chic bar that claims to serve award-winning cocktails turns out to be a pricey stop where drinks are ordinary. The music is intrusive, and an extra cover charge feels like a penalty for simply being present. Patrons notice that the service feels stiff, the snacks are minimal, and the overall experience does not justify the high price tag. Putting all these observations together, a traveler should enter this area with a healthy dose of caution. Expect crowded spaces, confusing